I know. This is Ocam.
This is not a spring chicken today. We're going to be comparing from two different areas.
Yeah, we're gonna. We were lucky enough. Actually, we were lucky. The people over Digital Hollywood. She got in a guest pass. I got in a press pass. And so we were lucky enough to both be able to go to the thing at the same time. And the trick is, you need to have two people at events to actually cover them properly, because you're getting, like at CEA, we can honestly tell you, CEA, the press all had overload. Mm-hmm. Everybody underestimated what the knowledge that was being handed down and the amount of batteries they had with them.
Well, the first day that we went there, I remember one of the guys that was sitting next to me, and he basically told me, he says, I thought I would have information overload probably the third day.
Yeah.
He said, but it's the first day, it's barely lunch, and I just asked, he said, there's so much information overload, it's just going by me.
Yeah.
But even for us, we thought, okay, this is a conference, and we were kind of in a rush and went, and it's like we went through 2 cell phones.
Two cell phones, our cameras,
right?
Everything, and we went through every battery we had. I mean, the battery. I mean, okay. What happened is we're at a place where the walls are all phony. They changed them to size because it's a great big. It's sort of like the whole top floor is like.
It's a hotel with the removable walls.
Yeah, it's just like they take their convention center and can divide it up into pieces. But the plug-ins are all phony. Mm-hmm. So you're out, everybody's looking, there's only so many, and then I know I'm sitting there while she's, doing something else. I'm sitting there at a thing, at a table, and the people, are you through yet? They said, well,
they want to plug in.
We're all looking, no, I'm only at 67%. We got the idea, well, maybe we should just put a sign-up sheet here. And then some of the CA people was basically doing the same thing. They moved some stuff out of the way so they could get a plug-in in one area.
It's the same people for laptops. Okay, we have a tablet that's supposed to last for 10 hours, right? Yeah. And I swear, when they give you these ratings, it's 10 hours when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing goes with cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones. We ran through the batteries on our cell phones.
Because even though it might last you 5, 6, 7 hours or whatever, then there's talking time. But if you're using the recorder on your cell phone, then...
And you had to record because...
there was just there was just so much coming at you. We, would try and take a picture of the slideshow so we could help us remember what was going on, but it's just like, there's so much. You can't write fast enough, you can't type fast enough.
It takes 2 people in order to be doing it, but the CEA, that's the CEA in San Diego. Last week we were at Digital Hollywood, that we're talking about, and they're 2 separate people, like we're trying to explain it. They're 2 separate people going the same direction on 2 different highways with no intersection between the 2 of them.
And the CEA Industry Forum has to do with all it's Consumer Electronics Association. So any of these companies there are related to, for example, the consumer electronics industry.
Yeah.
So your retailers, you've got manufacturers there primarily,
and,
right?
And software, anything that does with that, except for one detail, and that was last week. CEA was at Digital Hollywood, which is the content providers. Mm-hmm. So the content providers had their thing last week.
That's why they call it Digital Hollywood.
Yeah, and the CE people had their thing this week. Mm-hmm. But you listen to both sides, and it looks like, okay, well, it was last year. Well, you build the sets, we'll give you the content for the 3D TV sets. No, you do the content, we'll build the sets. Well, 3D is now basically, because the people were, we're not going to produce this stuff anymore because there's no market for it.
Well, it's here in the U.S. Now, actually, I found that kind of interesting because it's growing all around the world, and the theater owners have just decided to put in more 3D.
Yeah, we heard that.
In the theaters.
Another 3,000 theaters are going to double the capacity for 3D, because what's happening is that, while their movies are not making money here, they are making money out of the United States. God awful. 7 of the top 10 movies in the history of the world are 3D now. Uh-huh. But the trick is, I was listening to a thing the other day. Like they said, well, the Three Musketeers really bombed here. Well, it already made money over out of the country in its opening week.
Well, actually, Three Musketeers, here's part of it, because we were looking at going to the Three Musketeers, and we've got a really busy schedule, and we were looking at it, and we're going, wait a minute, they're sharing the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, if we look at the numbers, Transformers was a long movie, which means you can't show it as many times.
Yeah.
Right? Three Musketeers was sharing the 3D theater, so
Yeah.
you don't have as many showings.
Yeah, what happens is that some 3D movies are doing very well, and they basically just add to the thing. And what happens is that people, I think the same people who made Three Musketeers make the Twilight movies. So basically, the thing is like in a holding pattern. My guess is the same theaters that the Twilight movie is going to go into the ones that the Three Musketeers are in. So they buy, what is it?
Shelf space.
They bought shelf space. They bought 3 showings a day in theaters that had other predominant 3D movies playing. And like I said, the guy, okay, I think Mila Jovovich, who's Resident Evil things, her husband is in charge of the Three Musketeers. They were bitching about the fact, well, gives it goddamn whether we made any money here. This is just gravy right now. America is now gravy on the plate. It's no longer the main thing. It's just, well, if we can make it. I mean, they had Roland Atkins movie. I think Return of Johnny English or something. It only made $3 million. Well, the bloody movie in its opening week tripled its production cost. 3 weeks, that was out of the country. So what they made here was just extra.
Well, actually, because the U.S. market is not becoming.
And
if you listen to the box office reports, they'll say this is U.S. market. Before it was only the U.S. market. Now they're focusing more on U.S. market and worldwide market box office.
They don't. If you want to get Johnny Depp, try to force him to come from the Lord. Well, your Pirates movies are collapsing in the United States. It shows that they don't like the Pirates movies anymore, and they don't like 3D. Well, let's see, it made $1 billion, folks. He made three of the pirate movies that made $1 billion, and the fourth one missed it by 20 million, which means it will hit the billion.
Yeah, and Alice was over $1 billion too. I mean,
he's got like 4 of the top 7 movies all time are Depp in, and when they hit the $20 billion more, guess what? 5 out of the top. 20 million more, and the other 4th pirate movie hits $1 billion. So it's not a bad shape to be in, but we hear tell them about the ab market now. This is a good one too.
The app market?
Apps market, yeah, that's once again, it's content versus hardware and software people.
Ooh, in which aspect? Because we were sitting there talking about apps market because we went to, of course, different sessions. A lot of times when people think about apps, they think of on their cell phone or their smartphone. But there's also apps on your television set. And a lot of you are familiar with apps because you keep hearing about it on your smartphone. But if you think about it a different way, an app, short for application, is simply a widget or a shortcut that's optimized for your device, right?
On your computer, they used to call them icons. Then they sexed it up to you're putting a widget on your thing, And who was it that created that? It was Yahoo.
Yahoo. Remember Yahoo's widget when they introduced a widget concept for television?
Yeah.
Right, which actually didn't go too far, but it was with Tom Cruise and Ellen DeGeneres with Leslie Moonves at the Consumer Electronics Show.
It was really a great presentation they did. Then we went to the dinner.
We got a preview of what was it, Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible, and they allowed me to actually run that thing, which is not done. But then we went to the dinner that Yahoo had, and they were, they're basically giving a better explanation, and we're figuring out that's nothing more than an icon, but then they were widgets. And now they've sexied it up again to call that shortcut on your computer or your TV set or your cell phone. Now it is now an app.
And you're thinking, no, you only get apps on your smartphone. No, there's apps on your television set for your connected TVs. On your computer, you're thinking, oh, you don't get, but you can make a program, a shortcut on your desktop, but you can also get apps.
Apps for your PC, anything, apps for your Android tab. You can get apps for any of the tablets. You can get apps.
Because I will tell you, if you look up apps, if you go to for example, I have an Android, so if you go to the Android marketplace, I have different apps available on my smartphone than I do on my tablet.
Yeah.
And Yahoo's got an app market too.
Yeah, but here's, like I said, we're because we're able to double dip on both sides, which is why we really wanted to go to the Living in Digital Times thing with the riders today, but we had a parking problem, and we weren't on the list, even though I said we were. But that happens a lot with the press. They, I mean, I'll get on it, she won't get on it. They'll actually put the dog on the list, and we won't be on it. You don't look like Monty Bubbles. I mean, okay, I have been called Monty Bubbles at 2 shows, and I don't bother. I know what happens if you try to change it, you get off the list.
So we just leave it.
There's Monty Bubbles, Monty, and then they think, well, that's a weird name. But so we hear them talking about in Digital Hollywood, the EA people, the CEA people are basically sponsoring a thing talking about what the producers of the content from the people over on the CEA forum side, which is the hardware, software, and all that stuff, want. And they don't go together.
I mean, to me, it reminds me of the 3D conversation where they're all pulling their hair out because the content providers, they're sitting there looking at it going, okay, we've got our content and we have to have it for the Android, the iPad, the iPhone, the television set, the this.
Everything.
Going, what?
And there's connected as one of the people, here's one of the kids living in, the Gen kids, mobile, the Gen
Mobile.
He's talking about, which one is actually a very smart kid. They're talking about the fact that there's the things that aren't even there yet, that are going to be there next year, the year afterwards, that you got to design things for those that you don't even know exist. And it's a pain in the ass. Plus, here's another thing, we're going to get back to it. The big deal, over at Digital Hollywood, they really ran by digital rights management. Yeah. They did not run by digital rights management over at the CEA, though. They ran right into digital rights management. Well, these people, they're having problems getting cross-platform permission from people that are working on it. So what they're doing now, which we didn't bother to tell us then, they're cutting them out of the projects and going to commercial. If they can't get somebody, if it's a piece of music, they throw the bloody music out. If it's an actor, and you're gone. And then he put a commercial up. They said if you see a commercial in the middle of it, one of the guys said if you see a commercial, well, this thing just started 60 seconds ago. It's because they had to get rid of the person they couldn't get the digital permission from.
Actually, that's kind of unusual because before they would just not put it on there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've seen in the Digital Hollywood, when they were talking about it, one of probably the more important conferences we went to had to do with making money, which happened to be a really popular seminar. But yeah. Remember her talking about how the studios and how the companies are much more receptive to doing deals because the focus right now is getting it out there.
Getting it on as many platforms as possible.
And that's the word, platform.
Here's the second word. In any form necessary to get it on. And that, I was a little bit confused about that. Then we go over to the CEA and we find out what they mean in any form necessary. Mm-hmm. Because what it is, everything you do in TVs and television loses money for god awful years. Most projects you do for the theater don't make any money. But in ancillary they make money. So they've lost DVD sales. Everybody knows that downloads didn't work because Netflix and Amazon this last quarter. Netflix is on the verge of going out of business now. And Amazon new system, basically they're putting the Amazon now survival depends upon the Fire, which they're going to be giving away to people, so they'll use their service.
Actually, I think that could be kind of good.
I know we're going to be we may get one of them because I need it. We need actually a really good e-reader because some of the people there are really at CEA really has some great books that we want to get our hands on, and the best way to do it is on an e-reader.
But you can make your tablet an e-reader.
Well, I can, yeah.
Yeah. The question is how many devices do you want?
Yeah, I have a PC tablet, but supposedly the Fire will let you do your email and you can basically do word processing and stuff on it too, which is the only reason I would have a tablet. It also allows you to store video and stuff on. A lot of stuff will be stored on the cloud, which we're not totally on, but they were talking about the fact too that in any form possible, like I said, which we did get, when they said we just, you see a commercial come up, just open the show, 60 seconds in, did a commercial.
Yeah, and actually that's really unusual, because remember them talking about putting the content on there? It's like, okay, you'll see the stuff on broadcast, and then you'll see it on the broadcast internet.
Yeah, and they don't have permission at all. This is a thing. I know a famous rock and roll singer of the 50s and 60s that is on a, he runs into a wall because they remove his stuff constantly on one of the viral sites, even though he pays for it, because you didn't ask for my permission to put it on the internet. Well, it was made for the internet. Well, you didn't ask my permission, and I won't give it to you unless you pay me more money. Well, they've already paid him for the job, and it's the same thing that's happening.
But the guilds want to be paid for every platform.
Yeah.
Remember that? That's what the strikes have been
That's
about.
what the strikes about platform. They can't do it. I mean, what was it? Actually, we had a woman from Comcast said that, and Universal. She's basically Universal mostly. She's talking about. Well, here's the funny thing. Everybody up there was interrelated because most of them work. How do you know you've been in a business for a long time? You've been fired by Disney. And most of them have been fired by Disney or by Universal or NBC. But she's talking that they're at least 2 years behind the ball on getting digital contracts signed with the people doing their shows over at Universal. Mm-hmm. And that's the bad part about it, because they don't even, the people on the content side don't even want to talk about that. Well, it's a good opportunity to make money. Well, yeah, but not for the people that are producing it, because it, I come.